President Biden's plan to reduce the deficit by $3 trillion. Cut handouts to big pharma. All right. Okay.
Didn't they just force everybody to get vaccines, David?
Yeah, but now they can cut out handouts to big pharma.
Holy fuck.
Eliminate tax subsidies for oil and gas companies.
Give the difference to the big battery companies.
I don't know, but either way, we're gonna have to if we're gonna subsidize it either way. Eliminate real estate loopholes. It's 2035. You own nothing.
You have no freedom, and you're the happiest you've ever been.
Eliminate cryptocurrency trading tax loopholes.
I didn't know there was a loophole, David. No, I'm curious.
These people don't want you to have wealth. Eliminate real estate loopholes and crypto loopholes. These people want you poor. They want you poor.
The only thing they got to do here is throw meat in here somewhere and
raise revenue. That's the other way to do it.
How?
Impose a billionaire minimum tax. These people don't want you to have money. Raise the top income tax rate.
They don't pay taxes. It doesn't matter.
Tax stock buybacks.
BlackRock does not pay taxes, people.
Well, that's why they're going to raise the taxes on large corporations, Ryan.
Yeah, do you ever hear about those rich millionaires that want to pay more taxes? Yeah, because the people that are less rich than them can't afford it. Hold
on, we got to get to the last one because this is the most terrifying. Okay. Impose a global minimum tax.
How's that possible, David, when we don't have a global government?
Well, we're going to just globally tax everybody.
How, Dave, there's no global, federal, there's going to be a global tax. There's going to be a global tax on my fucking pay stub? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
That's global government, David. I thought global government was a conspiracy, David. And I thought it would never happen. And I thought that America could never join global entities that would circumvent due process and democracy and republicanism as a whole. And we, the people, by the people, for the people.
Yeah.
I was told for years, David, that I was a fool for believing that people were conspiring within our own government and multinational corporations at the education sector, at the business sector and finance sectors, at every layer of society and education and entertainment and productions and media and social media and big tech and all these things, Silicon Valley and bankers. I'm told that all these masters of industry with wood and oil and fire and chaos and all these things, Apple, I was told that all these people, they never meet together. They never get together. There's no secret meetings that they hide in the Swiss Alps for over 50 years, or they fly their big jets and then they sign bills that you're not allowed to fly in your big jets. I'm told that all this stuff, all this thing, there's no global government. They would never do this because global government is foolish. It's silly. It would never happen. People are not out to consolidate power at a global level so that they can rule all of humanity, David. This has been a conspiracy. This was never, it's just a figment of your imagination.
Yeah. So all of that, but really, Ryan, they just want to cut the deficit. I don't know why you're so mad.
Cut the deficit by impeding a global tax. I wonder who at the global level is going to pay the most of that tax, David. I'm sure it's the poor African countries, right? I'm sure it's the second and third world countries where a majority of the population lives. I'm sure it's not the first world countries where the smallest fraction of the population is, which is where all the wealth is. I'm sure us wealthy people aren't going to be paying for poor people all over the globe. And when we're told that it's to help these poor people and redistribute the wealthy's money, the wealthy are going to be making money on the redistribution of income, while I lose money and my purchasing power because of inflation, taxation, war, and all these other things that they impose on me. And then I'm told that if I don't feel like it, I'm killing grandparents and killing kids in Africa and black people, and I'm racist and a bigot.
Yeah. But the greatest way to fight inflation is invest your money. So things like real estate, cryptocurrency. Oh, never mind. You can't do those things either.
Global tax is literally global government.
Yeah, but it's just a plan. It hasn't passed.
David, literally, this literally global world government. This is the one world order. Literally, they just showed you.
Yeah, but it's out loud now. It's open.
Yeah, and
In the
I know this might seem like hyperbole, World Health Organization, but I can deduct the reasoning because if there's a global tax, that means there has to be some governing body at that same level to oversight the money. So if there's a global tax, that means that there's a global IRS now. Is that what we're calling it?
Well,
Is it the United
we
Nations
had
slush
we had
fund?
to we had to put those 87,000 agents to use somehow. I'm sure it wasn't just for our nation.
That's really incredible, David. A little quick thing about the southern border, which has been controversy this week. I'm not going to get into it because it's been hilariously over politicized. I don't mean that it's funny. It's just the fact that the things we're talking about now, when that problem has been going on for my whole life.
Yeah.
And then I got to see who built the cages, Joe. I got to see all these fucking people line up and make political stunts out of the suffering of innocent people that are trying to flee their shitty country that you fucked up. And then I'm tugged on my heartstrings. Those people are coming to Buffalo to live in the dorm rooms of the colleges. You know why that's a problem? Because people are paying the cost of that to live there as students. And now what? They're going to pick up the tab of that? And by pick up the tab, I mean that the government's going to pay itself to store those people there. And the government just can't pay itself, David, because it doesn't create anything. It just takes from something that does create, which is the students that pay the tuition or the housing cost to live there.
Well, they could just raise the tuition, right?
And they target the people that are like the ones that can't fight back because they don't have the skills, they don't have the knowledge, and they're so young, and they are forced in this situation because you told them to go to school to get the education so that they're not working a slave labor job when all it turns into is a 9-to-5 slave labor job and you're stuck in the matrix anyways.
Yeah, if only they could invest in things like cryptocurrency and real estate.
Yeah, and they tell you to buy a new iPhone because it's fulfilling, and it's not. It just triggers your dopamine receptors in your brain. But we're not gonna hand out
which
big
scientifically, in theory, means it's fulfilling.
Yeah, right. Because it fulfills that hunter gatherer.
I was always told now if Biden were to make me the border czar instead of Kamala Harris. By the way, if I'm Kamala Harris and I'm the border czar, I can fix the problem just by cackling at the border because everybody would turn around. I was always told that my border stance was very harsh. But I always said that if you see people coming across the border illegally, they're target practice. Figuratively, YouTube, World Health Organization.
Speaking of target practice, before his killing, tech executive Bob Lee led an underground life of sex and drugs. After the Cash App founder dived in a stabbing, some were quickly to blame San Francisco's street violence. The truth was more shocking. In certain wealthy tech circles, it is known that the lifestyle and underground party scene featuring recreational drug use and casual sex. Successful tech executive named Bob Lee likely to hang out with that crowd, according to people who also participated.
Was it an underground island?
It's weird we're just hearing about this now, David. But Donald Trump can't fuck.
As long as they were all of age, that guy kind of rules.
Yeah, it's just interesting that these, like, now granted, this might just be a small segment. Like, you're always going to hear about the 1% and the 10% of bad, shitty people, which is all we see in the news and everything. I've said this before about other things, but like, how many people are there really in the world that you're seeing on the news every day? Like, we see a few thousand people in our life that are like these story makers or celebrities or people on the internet. And you only see like, what, 10,000 people? There's 100,000 people, like out of billions, it's less than 1%. So all these stories that we see about like all these creeps and all these, because I always thought when I watched Wolf on Wall Street that all millionaires are doing drugs and all this crazy shit. And it was just like my childhood imagination, right? Like my
it was really based specifically on a person.
On a person, right? A
not
lifestyle,
that there's not
a
more than one
traumatized person
like that, but yes.
Yeah, and a person with problems, right? And there was a reason that I gravitated towards that person with problems, right? Because I have problems. So anyways. And that's why I had that image, right? That's why. And it's just weird that these creeps do stick together, especially when they get the money. Because this, I mean, it's like they're all tattletaling on themselves. I'm sure this person knew who got stabbed or when it was good. Like, it's like how many things are plugged into itself before we believe that it's all like not orchestrated, but it's loosely tied together with the same cabal of people. Did you hear about this Utah widow who wrote a book about grief through party after allegedly murdering her spouse? There's a woman that wrote a book about like how to move on from your spouse dying, and I think it was a kid's book or whatever. Well, it turns out that she poisoned her husband.
Oh,
and shortly
grieve when you did it.
They just closed on a house, right? Like fresh, and he died shortly after. And she threw a party to like commemorate him or celebrate. I'm sure she was celebrating having that big house paid for with his life insurance policy. I'm sure. You know, for people who don't think women aren't strategic, you're not paying attention, man. Yeah, it's just this is gruesome shit. Once again, this is like the 1% of people, you know. And then we're gonna read these stories and say all women are vindictive.
Right.
No.
I mean, they are, but not because of that story.
DeSantis signed bills to defund the DEI programs at Florida's public colleges. David talked about this earlier in the week with the NCCC. And you know what I'm trying to say.
NAACP.
Yeah, thank you. Florida Governor DeSantis signed a bill into law Monday, bringing the state's colleagues and universities from spending money on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs and limiting how race can be discussed in many courses. So I'm not here to rip that apart. I'm just here to talk, you know, get it on record here.
I don't know why people assume that means, oh, this is great news, Ryan. Trump's in trouble now.
Yeah, how's it?
Chris Christie is set to announce his 2020
again. Yeah, I can't wait till they show his fat ass laying on the New Jersey beach when he told people to stay home and mask the fuck up.
I think low-key Dinesh D'Souza is being funny here. He has big plans, because he's fat, to shake up the field. Shake. Like he'll shake the stage because he's overweight.
Martha Stewart on the Sports Illustrated cover.
Fire.
This has got to stop. This has got to stop. You're not going to normalize me fucking old ladies because there's no young hot girls left for me to have sex with, YouTube.
No, there's plenty out there.
I know. I actually heard a statistic. I was always under an inclination that men were having less sex than females, but I seen in the statistic recently that it's women that are actually having less sex than men.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but it wasn't. I was operating with poor information.
Ryan, you have to understand and remember.
Women lie.
Here's the thing. I haven't been single for a very long time. In a relationship, I'm very faithful. But when I was single, I was kind of a savage.
Yeah.
It is what it is, right?
I know. I'm just saying. It was interesting. Kind of just makes, not that I need it to feel better, but knowing's half the battle, right? And knowing this statistic, it just, everything's a numbers game in life, and when they're stacked in your favor, it's a good feeling. But Martha Stewart on Sports Illustrated can never happen again, people. I don't want to like boot up there next time and Will Smith's wife's up there. You know, Jada Pinkett Smith, like that is not okay. We got to unnormalize grannies getting whatever. She was barely hot when she was 40. You know, like when before she went to jail as a felon for insider trading.
Yeah, she did some serious white collar time, Ryan.
Yeah. Remember when she lost? She lost in prison to like a decorating contest or something.
Is that real? Hilarious.
You mentioned like, yeah, I beat that bitch. You know, Martha Stewart was getting it in. Musk says so be it to his consequences of his tweeting. This was Musk defending his promotion of conspiracy theorists. Called work from home trend morally wrong and criticized the direction of tech startups, OpenAI, and a wide range of tweets. There was one about George Soros, and he likened him to Magneto from X-Men, which is hilarious. I think
Magneto, to be fair, Magneto killed way less Jews than George Soros.
Oh, Jesus. It was the best times of my life. he also went on to say that he takes it back because that's an insult to Magneto, which is also hilarious. Elon, keep trolling, even though I don't believe you. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry involved in a near catastrophic 2-hour car chase last night in NYC. This was on Wednesday. It turned out to be like
catastrophic car chase.
Yeah, it was like an all nothing burger sandwich. This was like another Jussie Smollett case.
Well, I was going to say, like, if they had crashed, they would have said a near catastrophic crash.
Yeah, well, maybe the person that shot Princess Diana's car and sniped her tire wasn't available that night. So
no, she died. That was the queen.
They strangled her, David.
Oh,
I only know because people inside sources tell me. U.S. officials walk back claim that drone strike killed senior Al-Qaeda leader. The acknowledgement comes as terrorist experts and the dead man's family have cast doubt on the Pentagon statement indicating the operation targeted a high-ranking militant in Syria. We seen an earlier story about this in the Biden administration that they ended up like killing children because they thought it was somebody else, and the guy turned out to be an American citizen, I believe. So yeah, super president, most elected president in the history of the country. FBI whistleblower testifies under oath. 11,000 hours of J6 footage.
Can't show it though. Can't show too many FBI.
The Durham report dropped yesterday a 316-page roadmap of the Democrat effort to weaponize misinformation campaign against Donald Trump. It's a Dan Kershaw tweet. Valuetainment here, just a couple things. He shared some memes, but this is the stuff I consume to stay positive in this ever vast landscape. Choose your company as if your life depends on it. It does. Logic and numbers are important, but if people stop dreaming, an organization will grow stale and start to plateau. So you can use that in your personal life. You know, if you can only make X amount of money, you better be eating healthy, sleeping 8 hours, drinking more, right? Like, just always try to be better, man. Dave, did you hear the story about this kid, Milo? Baby Milo.
Who?
This is the shit that's like, that's what I mean, the 1% of stories.
I know one Milo, and it's Milo Yiannopoulos.
Nobody expected baby Milo to live for long. He arrived in the world with no kidneys, undeveloped lungs, and life expectancy between 20 minutes and a couple hours. He lived for 99 minutes. And basically goes on, the article is talking about how the bill's passed and you can't get an abortion. So I don't know if the couple itself was like, yeah, we're going to get an abortion, or they weren't, but it was just the fact that they couldn't stop the suffering. You know what I mean? Like they couldn't do what happened before what happened, right? Because of the new laws. But I bring it up because it says in here, so I just thought it was interesting. Baby said she looked forward to welcoming a fourth member of her family. It didn't occur to her fallout from the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn a half-century constitutional right to abortion would affect them.
I hate that phrasing because there was never a constitutional right for abortion.
Thank you. I was pretty sure.
Yeah, that it's not a real thing.
Yeah.
I tried to craft it out of another amendment.
Mm-hmm. It's just interesting. Government doesn't give you rights, right? Like that's the whole premonition of our Constitution. It's supposed to defend your rights.
Correct. You have set rights from your creator.
It's just interesting that they use the 1% example to politicize this. These people need healing. They need privacy, and losing a child is not easy, let alone one that had such odds to act against. Like that whole story is just tragic.
Whatever. Maybe I'm dense, but what was the alternative? They aborted the child, so you lose them either way.
Yeah. But they couldn't, David, because they lost constitutional right, David. Anyways, moving onward. Just crazy. Official report. Ventilators killed nearly all COVID patients. This is a headline. World
They
Health
sure did.
Organization, YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook, and any other entity that want to grab this AI in the future. This is a actual news headline. This is not me saying this. This is not an opinion. This is a news article printed, written, and published by a mainstream news article source. Which, not that they have validity, but it's the fact that they're saying the same thing. And they go on to say, nearly all the COVID patients who died in the hospital during the early phases were killed as a direct result of being put on a ventilator. And they talked about how it developed a secondary bacterial pneumonia. The pneumonia was responsible for a higher mortality rate than the COVID-19 infection.
Interesting.
So that's how you say that Big Pharma lied, murdered your grandparents, traumatized a whole nation, and held 350 million people hostages at home for something that could be killed with sunlight and hot water.
Well, that's why we're not going to kowtow to Big Pharma anymore, Ryan. No more handouts.
Oh, just now.
Well, yeah.
They violated the Nuremberg Code and people fucking died.
Yeah, but
They
now
violated the
handouts.
Nuremberg Code, David. They knew that those things would give them pneumonia. There's no way they didn't know. They're doctors, right? Trust the science. There's no way to be like, oh, this has never happened before.
Well,
There's
as we
never been
said, as we said to start the week off, either they were inept or they were malicious.
Maybe it's because you're paying $15,000 or whatever that.
Well, they did get extra money.
They traumatized everybody and made everybody sit home and suffer mass PTSD at a whole societal level. You had people stressing out about their grocery bags. People were wearing fucking paint masks to the store, Dave. Do you remember? Do people forget like how bad they actually lied to us? It's like we forgot, or we're just like, oh, no, it's over now. I won't ever forget. But then I'm just harassed every week. J6, inside job. Shut up, conspiracy theorist. Ventilators killed people more than COVID. Shut up, conspiracy theorist. I know people personally that this happened to. The ventilator thing. So you kill them because of the violation for the Nuremberg thing is death, Dave. Whatever that's worth. When you violate the Nuremberg tenets, you are sentenced to death. It doesn't matter your culture. It doesn't matter the excuse. It doesn't matter where you live, your occupation, how much wealth you have. It doesn't matter who you know. It doesn't matter who you don't know. You know what's really a shame too is remember when they're like, oh, there can't be enough. We'll never build enough ventilators, and we got them done. And then they fucking killed everybody with them.
Yeah.
You know how crazy that is? You just built like concentration camp level militaristic mechanical mechanisms that murdered Americans. Wow, man. Go to work on Monday, though. This is chilling. Bank of America spied on you from 1/5 of 21 to 1/7 21 for those who are keeping track at home. If they bought a gun in the DC area, they voluntarily gave the info to the FBI. If you were ever to purchase a gun anywhere at any time, they also researched that. No warrant. Here's the FBI testify. Now, what happened, David, on that very time frame? 1/5 to 1/7.
Well, 1/6 was in between those two dates.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, yeah, that would be. That'd
So-
be quite a. That's what we refer to in the business as a coincidence, right?
Quid pro quo, David. So that's them trying to violate your Second Amendment rights by violating your Fourth Amendment rights by using your First Amendment rights to tell you about it. Russia Wagner Group claims that they have captured Bakhmut, Bakhmut. This was yesterday, but Ukraine says it still controls a part of it.
I think it's
Well, what is it, David?
Bakhmut.
Bakhmut, part of it or what? What's going on here?
Foreign.
Yeah, we got 7 streets. They have the other 11. The chief of the Russian private military group. Wow, that's weird. Russia's got a private military group, huh? Group Wagner claimed Saturday that forces had taken complete control of the eastern Ukrainian city after months of brutal fighting. Remember when the Russians were incompetent? Little New York City news. Geologists say that New York City is sinking under the weight of its 1.7 trillion pounds of buildings.
It's sinking, or is the water level rising from melting ice caps?
Well, it's clearly climate change, David.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of funny. I didn't even think
That's
of that.
hilarious. They need to build more buildings ASAP.
This comes from The Guardian. That's pretty funny. Russia just banned Barack Obama from entering the country.
That's random.
Why would that matter? It's actually 500, a list of 500 people.
He was
Obama
one of
was
the
on list.
500?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. I wonder if
Biden on the list?
Trump wasn't mentioned.
That's because he's a Russian puppet.
Yeah, a little optic there, huh? China put Spy Master in charge of U.S. corporate crackdown. China's crackdown on overseas firms has just made it clear that Xi Jinping values security over economic growth to eradicate any doubt, according to people familiar with the matter. He has put State Censor Czar in charge. The campaign, which has included raids on Chinese officials of U.S. due to diligent firms and questioning of staff at the Beijing counseling firm, is sending shockwaves across global businesses. As news of the investigation emerges in recent weeks, some international business executives were surprised that no one in Xi's leadership came out to claim foreign investors, as a case of the recent past. So it's coming, man. This is like the purging, right, David? Some would say this is a purge before other times in history. Speaking of purging, this is something I brought up earlier in the week. Jeffrey Epstein appeared to threaten Bill Gates over Microsoft co-founder's affair with Russian bridge player. The disgraced financier was trying to set up a philanthropic fund that he hoped would include the billionaire as a anchor donor. So I wonder if this is Epstein trying to funnel money to a philanthropy group to build another fuck island.
It's kind of what it sounds like, but there's only one, so.
All right. A little entertainment this week. I got a couple of them. First of all, a little restaurant review thing here. I went out today with lunch with a family member and had a wonderful time. As always, I appreciate everybody's time, but most importantly his. We went to a place called Bar Bill. David, you ever been there?
Oh, yes. Excellent.
The one up in Williamsville is called Bar Bill North. Phenomenal chicken wings. So we literally ate like kings. I kind of
beef on weck is ridiculously good too.
Yeah, we had beef on weck, fries, and chicken wings. Incredible, just amazing time, amazing company. The place was cool, cute waitress, whole nine. It was like literally
that's
winning on all boards, man. Chicken was just homemade blue cheese, fucking just everything. Incredible, lucky, blessed, all that. But another quick thing before I get to my true entertainment. I've been playing chess on my phone lately.
Ah, chess. I love chess.
Chess, yeah. I feel like Tate. I actually got it.
Is there a two-player option, Ryan? I'll play you in chess.
Yeah, I think you can play online. It's called chess.com is the actual name of the app. It was like the #1 rated in the Apple App Store. So I don't know if you have it on.
App Store, get the fuck.
So but the point is very fun. It's like the most, like I was telling somebody, like I used to play Sudoku and stuff, and I've always played chess, and it's just cool to play this game, but you forget like how important chess is for your mind because it's like the most complicated board game ever. And all other board games come from chess basically at some level. So it's really cool. And there's a lot of, to take the Tate angle, there's a lot of philosophy in life and symbolism you can draw on from being the pawn or the king or the knight or the rook. Mm. And it's interesting. So my true entertainment this week, I watched Gladiator again this weekend. I know I told you guys a few weeks ago I started it, but I was falling asleep. But I actually sat down and watched it. And, this is like the time in human history, right, where like this ideal comes from and the story of him being a slave gladiator and his family being murdered and stuff. And it's all around Marcus Aurelius, right? And it got my gears turning, and he's the father of Stoicism, the actual philosophy of Stoicism. Marcus Aurelius in the movie isn't quite the Marcus Aurelius in real life and the things they have, but A guy named Ryan Holiday has been on the internet. He actually writes a bunch of things in Instagram, and he's all over the place as Stoic Daily. But he basically is a Stoic himself in the modern era. He's been on Joe Rogan, Chris Williamson's, Jordan Peterson. I think him have talked. But the point is he talks about Meditations, which is the book Marcus Aurelius wrote, and it's basically like his personal diary. And after my little lunch encounter today, I had to go to the bathroom, and I was buying Barnes and Noble. I'm like, I'll go into Barnes and Noble. And I've been wanting to buy Meditations for a while, and I figured it wouldn't be expensive. You know, like there's no reason why this book that's 1,000 years, literally thousands of years old, should be like $20. And I go to the bathroom, I do a lap around the store. I'm kind of tight on time, so I can't like search or ask anybody. You know, I was just like, whatever. I looked at other books. I looked at some Jordan Peterson, some other self-help. I looked at some graphic novels and Batman and stuff. Once again, I know I told you guys a few weeks ago when I went to the bookstore, I'm trying to like absolve the aura because they may die in our lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. That absolutely will happen.
It's like a thing of the past. So like I'm literally living history when you're in it. Like you're living in that room, in that moment with all those great novels, right? Like all that information. It's like you're standing inside a smartphone or something, right? And I do a lap, nothing. I look from Ryan Holiday's book, nothing, because he has one called like 8 Stoic Habits or something, or the path is the way, or the struggle is the way, or something. Nothing. And on the way out, this table right by the door, in between like the front entryway, like the front door and like the actual door, they had a bunch of military books. And I'm just looking at them like, oh, these are cool. They're like big color, thick ones, you know, and they got like the drawings of the battles and like the flanks. And I put them down. I start like looking up. I'm like, oh shit, they got like the Constitution and the federal papers. And David, what was sitting on the shelf?
There's no way.
Meditations by Marcus Aurelius and other Stoic works with Seneca and Epictetus, which is the three, like that's the Stoics, you know, and it was $10. So once again, thousands of years of information. No reason why this should be expensive. $10. It's like leather bound, nice thick book, nothing fancy. The words, there's no gold pages, there's no fucking bookmark. And the point is, it was cool how it all worked, you know, because like, not to get personal, but something happened later in the day after when I left the bookstore. Actually, I got a phone call that was to say it was drama filled and stress filled puts it lightly sometimes. And it's that personal bullshit everybody deals with. And it was so funny that I happened to turn to the very book I just bought a few hours earlier after it all happened for a little bit of advice from the Stoics and how to keep my emotions in check, right? And how to like just decompress and just understand that things will ebb and flow. And I thought the thing that was the most funny to me, it's not funny, but it is, right? Because there's always a balance to the universe, David, which is a Stoic philosophy, right?
I kind of want to pick that up myself, and I try to teach people Stoicism at work. Because to me, it's a very important trait for strong men.
Yeah, it's like it's Maximus in Gladiator, right? You don't cry and all that stuff. You manage your emotions, you deal with it, you work through it, you have problems, you solve them. You're always loving, you're a lion and a lamb, all that stuff. And turning to the Stoics was kind of funny. You know, it was like this thing, it like all these things aligned for me to need the very novel that I picked up earlier in the day. And I wonder, it's like God works in mysterious ways sometimes. And that's kind of what I feel like a lot of that stuff entails, and like how it all clicks back to itself, you know, like these, it's like, maybe that's why they're in myths, right? And in the old religion books, is because this thing has these same stories, these same events, these same things always happen. And it's almost like they're stuck on repeat. And the thing that I noticed about the thing that happened to me this week in particular, it's like, dude, everything in my life is great, Dave. I have no drama. Like personally, I'm not fighting with anybody. I have no bad blood. I'm not angry. I'm not where I want to be. Sure, I have drives and goals, right? Like anybody else, but it's not like a crippling existential drag on my life. It's not crippling me, putting me in the boat and all this. And then it's all the other outside noise. And it's like my life is just and everything's just clicking, and I feel like real good, and I'm positive, and I'm leading with like love of myself so I can love other people, like all that stuff, and then I'm getting all this outside noise trying to knock me off balance. And I almost feel like that's how I know I'm on the right path, right? Because if you're even keel, if you're balanced, if you're stoic, stuff that's non-stoic and non-balanced is going to be drawn to balance. Like, because because how is it going to be, like, how will something know if it's unbalanced if it doesn't go against balance? It sounds so silly, but this is the existential crisis that we all face, right? Like the good and the evil dance. And so I know it's a little philosophical to get out of here at the end of the week and all that. And as always, I appreciate everybody. If you made it to the end of this episode and all the other episodes, you're our true subs and all that. And we love you, David, and I especially. But yeah, it was just interesting, David. Like a lot of these little very things. And I actually said earlier in the week too that I haven't been feeling spiritual at all. Like I felt like I lost it. Like not that I'm expecting it or I'm this super holy person. I'm not saying that, but like me personally, I get like goosebumps and my ears ring. Personally, like I get those physically when I think I'm having spiritual, like a spiritual aura or mood or something, right? And I haven't been getting that. And it was like 2 weeks, Dave. I actually reached out to a friend of mine and discussed it with them. And I was like, have you been feeling this? Because I'm dry, and it was kind of funny. And then it's been everything in 3 days. Right? All in 3 days. I pick up stoicism. I need to be stoic later. Like literally seconds after reading the book, I get in my car from Barnes & Noble, I get the phone call. Like literally when I need to be stoic. When I like would have been looking to the heavens and be like, why ain't I religious? And then it's like, here's all this religious juice or like this, like that once again, the balance is going to be tried to be unbalanced by unbalanced things. But maybe there's no balance without unbalance. Maybe I can't be balanced as a person if I don't face unbalancing acts. So, yeah, all the same. I know it's a little philosophical at the end to get so deep on you guys, but David, as always, I appreciate your time the most. Yeah, Dave Ryan, December 1773. Catch us Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern for the weekly show. As always, David and I will be there. YouTube, Rumble, and Facebook. Most importantly, Rumble, especially with one episode this week, I think.
Definitely Rumble.
You are welcome here. David, as always, I know I already said it, but I really appreciate you for your time as always. And I hope you guys had a great weekend and everything's good and healthy and all that stuff. And I look forward to being there for the podcast with you always. And thank you, and see everybody later.
Thanks, Ryan.
See you.